Hey folks, how's it going? It's Game Webcam. Welcome back to another episode of The Review, a series where we judge games based on how good or crappy they are. Yes, this is a full episode of The Review. I know it has been a while since I made one and have been relying a lot on review shorts, but I think these next couple of games I'm reviewing deserve full episodes. The games that we're going to be reviewing are Nextbot games that are based around a current trend in horror gaming. And before we can dive into some Roblox titles, we need to answer the question, what are Nextbots? Now, if you have been on TikTok for the past few months, you have definitely seen at least a few of these TikToks on your For You page. Nextbots are those PNGs of 21st century memes or creepypastas that relentlessly chase you, making a funny or scary noise and try to kill you. Nextbots originally come from the popular game Garry's mod and are called Nextbots because of the self-titled AI feature that is readily available in the game. What may surprise you is that Nextbots aren't a new thing, and the concept of chasing Nextbots has been around for years. When I take a look at the current Nextbots trend, it reminds me a lot of an old Gmod game mode, Pedo Bear Escape. Now, if you've been around 2013 to 2015, you've probably seen plenty of Let's Players play this game mode, and you'll see some striking similarities. The game mode consistently spawns PNGs of the dead meme Pedo Bear, and they constantly chase you and other players around, trying to kill you. A round goes until one player manages to survive, which is the player that escapes Pedo Bear. Now, if you haven't been around the internet for a while, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are probably creeped out at the premise of Pedo Bear. After all, it is a meme about pedophiles, but this was during a time of the internet where things were a lot crazier and people were a lot more bombastic. When we take a look at some of the early TikToks that revived this trend, the only changes that were made since were to make this reflect more of modern meme culture. I mean, replace Pedo Bear with some 21st century meme, add a sound relevant to that meme, and place them in a terrifying map, and you pretty much have a Nextbots trend that sort of acts as a melting pot of modern memes. And the reason why a map like the Backrooms works so well is highly attributed to the popular analog horror series by King Pixels called The Backrooms. In addition, it works well with the original premise of The Backrooms being this minimalist creepypasta that plays on the fear of the unknown. Combining all of these trends that are currently popular right now, it essentially worked well for the TikTok algorithm. Now, why do Nextbots seem so scary? When I take a look at the Nextbots trend, it reminds me a lot of my nightmares where I feel like I'm being chased. And it seems like Nextbots recreates a lot of that fear, considering that these Nextbots always know where you are and will stop at nothing to get you. More importantly, this trend plays into our fight or flight response. In the situation of Nextbots, we are defenseless. We can't fight back against these chasers, giving us no choice but to flee. So whenever I am getting chased or cornered by a Nextbot, that fight or flight response kicks in and I need to do whatever I can to escape. And you might be asking, why should that be the determining factor of something scary? I mean, these are just some silly PNGs after all. Why would people find getting chased by some PNGs to be so scary? Well, if there's anything that I've learned from playing horror games, making something more sophisticated doesn't always mean that it's going to be more scary. Oftentimes, the simpler options are the more effective options. It's why indie developers make some of the best horror games, which oftentimes compete against well-known and established AAA titles. Nextbots just encapsulates this point and push it to its limits. I mean, they're relatively easy to make and they still retain their effectiveness even if you were to just put a different meme or PNG on it. The concept of being chased is a staple in horror games, and Nextbots just seems to perfect it in that aspect. Now, combine the Nextbots trend with the fact that Roblox developers tend to quickly follow trends to get quick popularity and cash in, this leaves us with two notable titles: Goofy Runners and Nico's Nextbots. I will be covering Nico's Nextbots in tomorrow's episode of the Review, but this episode will be focusing on Goofy Runners. Goofy Runners is a game created by two people: Boulder Me, who is responsible for the scripting and marketing of the game, and Crimry, who is the builder and designer of the game. I just want to quickly apologize if I managed to butcher the pronunciation of any of those usernames. I first came across this game from a short TikTok. I found the TikTok quite funny, so I was interested enough in trying out the game. Now, they do claim in the description that Goofy Runners did come before Nico's Nextbots, and if we take a look at the creation dates of both games, it does seem like Goofy Runners does come first. One more thing I would like to say before I start analyzing the game is that this is a work in progress game. The developers of this game update the game quite often, so it is expected for there to be new content added to the game after this review comes out, and I might do a Redux review if the game does finish. So Goofy Runners follows a more traditional Roblox horror format where you need to escape the area that you're in, and the Nextbots are essentially the killers you want to run away from. When taking a look at the Nextbots, it is pretty easy to tell that this is an NPC with Roblox pathfinding because the movement seems a lot more sharp and primitive. While it doesn't exactly match how a Gmod Nextbot works, it is passable and does the job. The TikTok that I showed you shows blue lasers that are located throughout the different areas. These are meant to establish safe zones. If you are behind a set of lasers, the Nextbots will not chase you and will go after someone else in the play area. If a Nextbot decides to run into the lasers, it will instantly kill them and put them back at their spawn point. Some levels, it will just make the Nextbots disappear, and others will actually produce an explosion. I find the explosion effect to be much funnier and provide a bit of comic relief to the game. I mean, the explosion from the kill lasers is why I was attracted to the game in the first place, so I would hope that this would be consistent throughout every level. The movement throughout the game is quite basic, but it is good enough to where it doesn't feel like you're playing another Roblox game. There's some floaty bobbing and custom footstep sounds to help give the game a bit more of a personality. There is no crouching or walking in this game, so by default you basically are just running around. You can press shift to slide across the floor, which is very useful if you are in a tight situation and you don't want to get cornered or caught. Keep in mind that if you decide to slide in this game, there is a moment where you will stop moving, so I recommend you only slide when it is necessary. And finally, you can press F to toggle your flashlight, which is going to be useful to navigate dark areas in the game. The game is split up into different levels. Each area is considered a different level, offering different Nextbots to run away from for each level. As I'm recording this, there are 8 levels the game has to offer, but more levels are to come in the future. The overall objective is to escape and move on to the next area, but most levels have an objective they want you to complete in order to progress. Most of the time, it is finding items around the map and using them to escape. I hope for future levels of the game, though, they could change this up a bit and try to change the objective to things like solving puzzles or something, so that the game doesn't become repetitive. The first level of the game is inside an indoor parking lot, and the objective is to find 2 different key cards that will be able to unlock 2 different doors. There are 2 Nextbots that are in this level, Celine Delgado and Obunga. This first level is pretty tame and functions as the tutorial of the game. Items that are needed to complete objectives are outlined in white to make it obvious that you can pick up the item. When you pick up the key cards, they are placed into your Roblox inventory, and if you die, you will have to pick up these key cards again. I'm only saying this because after this level, this inventory is never used again, and the game proceeds to use a custom inventory where you do keep the items upon dying. The worst part about this custom inventory is that it doesn't show on the screen what items you have, making the first few levels quite confusing. I hope this is something that the developers will fix in a future update. You'll find the first keycard in the subway on a bench, and the second keycard upstairs above the parking lot. It took me about a minute to find the first keycard and about 4 to 5 minutes to find the second one. Proceeding to the doors, you must have the keycards equipped to open them, and after opening the 2 doors, the first level is completed and you will go down a shaft to head to the second level, which takes place underground. In the underground section, you will come across 2 Nextbots, Quandale Dingle and the Goofy Nerd Emoji. The objective for this level is to find a fuse that you will use in an elevator that proceeds to the next level. I kind of like the aesthetics of this map. I really like the red lighting as I think it blends with the map quite nicely. This level has several safe areas that you could use to hide, which is useful because this is kind of a small map with only a couple different hallways, and you won't have the Nextbots constantly chasing you. In one of these safe areas contains the fuse that you need for the elevator. It took me about a minute to find the fuse, however, it was really hard to find the elevator for this level. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to find the elevator. And the reason why it was so hard to find is because the elevator is found on the second right of the hall that contains the fuse. At the other end of the hall is the spawn point for Quandale Dingle, and considering that Quandale often dies to the safe zones, it just kept deterring me from wanting to go down that hallway. If you want to make the turn, you'll need to time your movement so that Quandale doesn't respawn and kill you. Considering this section is cut off from the rest of the map, you must take this route to go there. I kind of wish that the spawning points for the Nextbots are randomized and know not to spawn near a player, just so that I don't have to worry about a Nextbot spawning next to me and instantly kill me. Anyways, after finding the elevator and putting in the fuse, you can enter the elevator and proceed to level 3. Level 3 is the storage room, and in my opinion, this is one of the scarier levels in the game. There's only one Nextbot in this level, and it is called Cartoon Cat. Despite the friendly name, this is a cat that looks very deranged and surreal. The sound it makes is a low-pitched meow, and it sounds more like crying. Combined with how dark this level is and how small the map is, this is definitely a level that had me on edge. Every time I heard the wailing, it made me uncomfortable when looking around a corner, as I know he's close by and he might strike at me from around the corner. In this level, you have to find 4 different key fragments that are lying around on the floor, and you have to combine them together to make a key. Now, for this level, it actually keeps track of how many fragments you have, and this seems to be the only level where it shows me what I have in my inventory. After obtaining the key, you must find the exit and use that key to finish the level and start on level 4. In level 4, you proceed to continue through the hallway, but all of a sudden you fall through the floor and you end up in the back rooms. This is the level that most people are going to look forward to, and I think Crimry did a really good job building this map, as the rooms that you see in this level are very asymmetrical and random, and barely resemble rooms to begin with. I can tell that this is the most ambitious map in the whole game. It is a pretty big map, so it's pretty easy to get lost in it. This map has 4 Nextbots: Low Tier God, IShowSpeed, Beast Boy, and Walter. The PNG of Low Tier God is in reference to when he says kill yourself, but of course, using that line in a Roblox game would violate Roblox's TOS, so instead his audio is replaced with thunder. And because of how loud it is, it sort of acts like a jump scare and makes you not want to be chased by him. Now, in Gmod, IShowSpeed is represented with his song Shake, but due to copyright reasons, the developers decided to replace this with IShowSpeed repeatedly saying you need to die. And ironically, this kind of contradicts the decision they made with Low Tier God, and I kind of find that a little funny. Beast Boy just makes an ugly laugh, and Walter has lower pitched barking. Now, the thing about most backroom designs is that the backrooms are meant to consist of well-lit rooms with only a couple of dark places. However, Crimry decided to take a different approach and uses low lighting for the backrooms. It sets a more ominous tone, and it puts more emphasis on the fact that something doesn't feel right. There's no given objective for this level, so you just need to figure out how to escape the backrooms. I was walking around aimlessly, trying to find an exit, and then, out of nowhere, all hell broke loose. The lights have shorted out, taking an already scary map and making it terrifying. Without the lights, the entire map is pitch black. Even with your flashlight, you can hardly see what is in front of you. You don't know where you are going, and you find yourself more lost than before. All of a sudden, you hear one of the Nextbots chasing you. You panic and move around haphazardly, hoping that you don't run into a dead end. And the thing is, that's not even the worst part. This level has no safe zones. If you want the Nextbots to stop chasing you, you better either find the exit or pray that you'll find someone else and hope the Nextbots will go after them. When this first happened to me, I started panicking. I was genuinely clueless, and I had a really hard time figuring out where I needed to go. I end up going around in circles a lot of the time because I was so disoriented. Eventually, the lights do turn back on, and this is an event that repeats itself periodically. Also, there are a couple of references to the Kane Pixel series, such as the rotting body on the wall. This level took me the longest to complete, as I spent about a good half an hour trying to figure out where the exit is. You'll know if you have found the exit because it is marked as a safe zone. So yeah, there technically is a safe zone, but it serves as the exit of the level. Going further down the hall, you come across a dead end and you find a hole, another reference to the Kane Pixel series. Falling down this hole leads you to an exit, and going through the exit leads you to level 5. This is easily the scariest level in the entire game, and as a result, makes the backrooms the best level in the game. I gotta really give the developers props for this because this was a pretty well made level. Level 5 is the meat factory, and no, not that kind of meat, you pervs. This is the level where the TikTok was recorded. There's only one Nextbot in this level, which is a generic laughing emoji. Now, here's the thing. I feel like the developers raised the ball so much with the backrooms that when I came into this level, it feels like the developers dropped the ball hard. This level has the worst map design in the entire game. This map consists of almost nothing but dead ends. And since it's a small map, there's almost no places to evade the chaser without going back to the beginning. However, going down one of the hallways, you find the exit to the level, but a guard dog blocks your way. In my first playthrough, I thought it was another Nextbot that was going to kill me, but then I noticed there is a prompt that allows you to chat with the dog. Speaking to the dog, he refuses to let you pass until you are able to find 3 pieces of meat that are scattered across the facility. After talking to this dog, the pieces of meat appear and you have to go back to the map and retrieve them. The worst part is all of the pieces of meat are found in dead ends, and you have to pray that you don't get cornered by the Nextbot. Otherwise, you'll have to do some clutch maneuvering to avoid death. One thing I do notice is that on repeat playthroughs, I notice the meat always spawns in the same spots, which means that this entire map can easily be memorized and you could possibly speedrun this. After getting all 3 pieces of meat, the dog is pleased at your offering and lets you through to level 6. In my opinion, easily the worst level of the game, but it is fairly short, and if it weren't for this level, I wouldn't have heard of this game in the first place. Level 6 is the pool rooms, a map similar to the backrooms, but this time takes on the appearance of a public indoor pool. Similar to the back rooms, a lot of the rooms are quite chaotic and seem random, making it feel like they barely resemble areas of a pool. Unlike the back rooms though, there are no light sequences, and because of the bright tiles, makes it much easier to see in this map. There are 3 Nextbots in this level: Crying Squidward, Staring Fish, or as I like to call him, Fish Lips, and the guy you see in your dreams, except for some reason they rearranged his facial features and now he looks really derpy. For this level, you have to find a ladder and use it to reach a vent to escape. Fortunately, the developers of the game actually help you out with finding the ladder because there are discreetly drawn arrows to where you can find the ladder near the spawn. Unlike the backrooms, I actually didn't struggle too much with this level and I beat the level in about 5 minutes. What I find funny is that the vent is placed so low that you could actually just jump up to the exit, but the developers actually thought about that and disabled jumping in this level. They could have actually put in the effort to raise the vent and use a taller ladder, and that would have made way more sense, but they decided to actually disable jumping entirely. I can't tell if this was done on purpose as a joke, or if this is something they didn't think about until the last second. Either way, the safe zone isn't properly established at the end, and as a result, Nextbots can guard the exit and make it harder for people to reach the exit. I think this one was a genuine mistake, and I didn't notice it until a repeat playthrough with my friend. Overall, this level is good, but I don't think it is as good as the backrooms. It's definitely not as scary as the backrooms, but oddly more relaxing. After going through the vent and up a staircase, you find the exit and head into level 7. Level 7 is the sewers, and in my opinion, I think this is probably the most boring level in the game. There are 2 Nextbots in this level, Remy from Ratatouille and a sewer dweller, which isn't even a meme. The thing is, I like the noise that the sewer dweller makes because it's neither funny or scary. It actually kind of sounds relaxing. It's sort of deceiving in a way. Anyways, this level is fairly short and I was able to beat this level in about 2 minutes. To beat this level, you find a hammer that is located in the sewers and you need to use the hammer to destroy some planks. After destroying the planks, you can climb up out of the sewer into level 8. That's pretty much it. There's nothing to write home about for this level. Level 8 is the complex, and the final level as of this recording. After spending so much time indoors, we finally get to see the outside. However, just because we are outside doesn't mean that we have fully escaped. This level contains 2 Nextbots, the vibe check guy and a guy wearing a watermelon head. At this point, you can tell they're sort of running out of ideas when it comes to thinking of new Nextbots, so I think they're just taking random images and just making Nextbots out of them. The vibe check guy does intense breathing, but the watermelon Nextbot makes almost no noise at all. If you listen closely, he'll make some slushing noise, but this Nextbot is fairly quiet. I think the only thing that's scarier than a Nextbot with noise is a Nextbot with no noise, as that means you don't have the audio cue to notice that they are nearby. Fortunately though, the open map design should allow for you to spot him fairly easily. I really like the map of this level. It follows a sort of liminal aesthetic where it feels very open and empty. I know this is something that some people are scared of, including my friend Josie, but I am not scared of liminal spaces at all. In fact, it's the surrealistic nothingness and spaciousness that makes it feel so relaxing and calming. For this level, you have to find 3 different keys across the map and use them on 3 padlocks to unlock a gate. You'll find 2 of these keys in buildings and 1 key in an alleyway. After finding the keys, you are able to unlock the gate and complete the game. When completing the game, it just takes you back to the title screen, which is kind of anticlimactic, but that's pretty much Goofy Runners for you. Something that I've noticed is that for the first half of the game, it follows a lot of the typical Nextbot stuff that you would see on TikTok, with all the memes, the well-known maps, and all of that sort of stuff. However, starting at level 5 or 6, I noticed that the game starts to take a detour from being a funny Nextbot game, and it seems like it's trying to branch out into something different. Now, at first, I would immediately think it's because the developers are starting to run out of ideas for what levels they are going to make. But what if this is something being done intentionally? If you didn't know, there is actually a bit of hidden lore to this game. If we go back to level 1 and look by some crates near the exiting stairs, we'll find a screwdriver that is lying around. If we go back to the beginning of the level and unscrew the vent, you'll actually find a terrifying face and be awarded a badge for finding a secret. Now, when I first found this face, I was a little terrified because of how uncanny the face looks. However, you could go up to the face and speak to it. Speaking to the face, it talks about the developers of the game, how they'll lock up anything they find quote-unquote goofy, but most importantly, that the Nextbots chose not to be here. Now, with just these details alone, this doesn't really tell us much. However, if we go to level 4 and head to a corner, if your eyes are good enough, you'll spot a seam in the wallpaper. Go into that wallpaper and you'll find another equally uncanny face. When speaking to him, they talk about the developers of the game a little more. How Crimry is the builder of these maps and that Boulderme is the scripter of the game by quote-unquote bringing the maps to life. He mentions that all of the Nextbots that you see throughout the game are in nature quite friendly people, and the only reason that they are chasing and killing people is because Boulderme tells them to. However, listen further, and he says that some of the Nextbots defied the orders of Boulderme, and because they defied those orders, they've become part of a group that is known as the Damned. Crimry, in turn, has made these maps in order to trap the damned and keep them locked up. Now, the third person is a bit trickier to find. If you go to level 6 and go opposite of where the arrow tells you to go at the spawn and head towards the corner, you'll notice a suspiciously dark dead end. Go through it and you'll find the third brother of the damned, who likes to call himself Big Hug Bill. He doesn't say a whole lot, but one thing that he does say is to not trust everything that the developer says. And there is another damned member in the complex who is pretending to be a statue, but I'm not going to be counting their conversation because he doesn't really provide new information that we can use, except for the fact that they are looking to put more testers into the game. In this lore, the developers are the main antagonists of the game, and because they want us gone, we shouldn't trust them. Considering this is a work in progress game, there may be more details of the lore revealed in the future, because there are a lot of missing gaps that need to be filled. In addition, the lore doesn't have that much of an impact on the game other than just a fun way of getting engagement. Maybe in the future the developers will tie the lore into the game, but other than that, it just seems to be some bait to keep some interest in the game. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about in this game are the microtransactions. I kind of kept this part for last because there are definitely plenty of microtransactions you will find in this game. Taking a look at the game passes, there are plenty of game passes that offer a variety of perks. I own the Sprinter and the Stronger Flashlight game passes. I bought these back in level 4 of my first playthrough because of the Nextbots just relentlessly chasing me. And in my opinion, if you are going to be purchasing any of the game passes in this game, these two are the ones I would recommend. Mobility is crucial in this game, and a Stronger Flashlight helps with seeing in some of the darker levels. There is a VIP game pass, but all it really does is just give you a nice tag and a custom flashlight color, which I don't think is worth the 75 Robux price. There are 2 game passes that are dedicated to giving players guns to shoot the Nextbots with. I highly recommend you don't buy these game passes. By being able to kill the Nextbots, you ruin the horror aspect of the game and you cheat yourself out of having a good experience. This game also features one developer product, which is called the nuke. If you buy this nuke, it kills everyone in the server. The nuke is part of a trend that a lot of Roblox developers seem to be doing lately because it's an easy way to monetize a game and cash in. Personally, I am not a big fan of this trend, and the only reason why anyone would want to buy a nuke is just to show how much of an they are. In addition, what benefit do you really gain from this? All you're really going to be doing is resetting everyone's progress. It's not only meaningless, but it seems like a big waste of your money too. Now, I have had multiple playthroughs of this game, and I will say that throughout all of those playthroughs, I have not come across a single person who's bought a nuke, so the chances of coming across someone who's bought a nuke is slim. Now, when I was recording footage for this video, I decided to play with my friend Josie, the original creator behind the Roview, and they decided to weigh some of their own opinions in. They were originally going to rate the game a 5, but after playing more of the game, they decided to change their rating to a 6.9, just as a totally funny and hilarious joke. Josie and I agreed on plenty of things in this game, so I was originally going to give this game a 6, but I think Josie convinced me enough to where I will bump the game up to a final score of 7 out of 10. While this game doesn't accurately recreate the Gmod Nextbot experience, the game does take a more story-driven approach to the Nextbot's concept and gives players a sense of progression for those who might be looking for it. While there are some levels that weigh the game down and look like they need some cleanup, there are a couple of levels that were quite good in the horror aspect. It also does some comedic aspects quite well, making the game feel like a horror comedy. Tomorrow, I will be reviewing Nico's Nextbot, so if you want to see when that comes out, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like. That's all I really have to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Game Webcam, and take care.